Hi, folks. This one's going to be an awkward one for me. This one's personal. This one's about my life. So if you're looking for another research video, you're going to have to wait till the next few I put out and just click off now. You've been warned. I don't believe in coincidences, but one friend and two coincidences or two synchronicities suggested or strongly suggested that I do this. So here goes. Okay, don't forget, like, share, subscribe. I wanted to put a video out on my situation and how I became a hermit in the woods for 6 years, being completely socially isolated. Let's go for a walk. This is going to be my least favorite video, but on a friend's suggestion, I'm making a video to tell my story on how I got out here. And the purple on the tree. In Texas, that means private property. And we're all armed out here. But how did I get out here? Let me start with that. The day after Thanksgiving in 2013, I was told by my landlord that she was selling the property and we had about a month to skedaddle. And in the city I'm in, there was no place to live in my school bus. So I had two options. And I had plenty of savings. But the other problem is that my contract at my job was ending, and it was to support a rollout, a large merger and migration. And so these two things happened at the same time. If one would have happened, then I would have been fine for months. But then both happening, I basically had to take all of my savings. And my cost of living was so cheap where I lived that when I was on unemployment, my cost of living was half of my income. So that's really, really cheap if you've ever been on unemployment. And working as a contractor, it's a couple years here, a year there. You know, it's very sporadic. So I have to make allowances and save as much as possible to survive in between contracts. Anyhow, so these two things happened at once. And I had a good amount of savings. So I had a choice. It would cost me basically every bit of savings. I'd have to put my bus in storage, and my cost of living would go up at least 4 times, 5 times. I'd have to get an apartment. I'd have to get furniture, because at that point I've been living in my bus for a few years. So my other option, and then of course if I did that, if I spent all of my savings on putting the bus and everything I own in storage and getting an apartment, if I didn't get another IT job within a couple months, I would have lost it all. And I just, after working in IT for so long, I had 4 really good jobs outsourced to cheap labor in India and other countries. They fired their American people, that we were really damn good at our jobs, and they replaced us with foreign workers that really did a bad job. It was heartbreaking. Anyhow, instead of getting an apartment in the city, I didn't want to gamble on being homeless. So I basically looked everywhere and found the first plot of land I could find cash, to buy cash. Very, very cheap, rural land. No amenities, no nothing, no deed restrictions. All private property, all private roads, which means that I have to fix them when they go bad, and they do go bad a lot. So I found a very nice, the only real estate agent that I tried to find, other than just looking in person places. But I talked to a real estate agent, and he actually found me the plot of land I have now. And he said it was the fastest deal and the cheapest deal he's ever done. Because I bought this plot cash spent the rest of the cash having my bus towed out here, and had to stay in the road until I could afford to get the areas cleared on my property to be able to even move my bus onto the property. And when I finally got to that point, the bus wouldn't move. The brakes were all seized up. So the first guys who tried to move it ended up not being able to at all. It got stuck there for a while longer. Finally, I found a mechanic that listened to me and worked on the brakes. And after giving it a really good yank with another vehicle, we heard this pop and it rolled. And I actually have video footage of moving the bus from this street up here, the side of my property, to where it is now, which is over here. But my property is a very long, kind of narrow stretch, and it's a little over half an acre. But of course you can see it's it's completely wooded. Anyhow, okay, so instead of gambling on staying in the city, I bugged out. And I'd been a prepper, and I've been a camper, and like I said, when I first moved into the bus, I had to camp in it to be able to afford it. And it all worked out fine. And I had some savings left, a little bit left, and I had a lot of supplies. I actually had stored food and all of that, but this was my economic collapse. And I still have not recovered. So I get out here in February of 2014. That's all from the floods. I've had 3 floods. Anyhow, but this is all my land all the way down around where I've been walking here. Anyhow, but the first winter when I moved out here, it was freezing rain, and I basically had to teach myself how to split firewood in the freezing rain, and it was green wood too. So I learned very quickly how to commune with a wood-burning stove. And I learned very quickly how to split wood and almost chop my foot off learning by myself out here on my own. Because although I have always been as much of a prepper or whatnot you want to call me, there's still so much I have to learn, and I was not prepared to bug out into the woods. I wanted to do that eventually while I was working in the city, buy land, build it up, and then be able to move out. I didn't expect to just have an economic collapse and then boom, I'm in the woods stuck with no money for years. Anyhow, so that fall in 2014 is when I started working festivals. At that point, being out here almost a year, I would go work and go home. I didn't meet anybody. Yeah, I took care of my dog here. And that was a big concern for me. I did not like leaving her, so I didn't leave the house very much. Sandy was dumped in a friend of mine's car. He came out of the store, he drove a convertible, and when he got to his car, there's this puppy. He gave the puppy to his elderly mother, and Sandy was in that house for probably about a year, and she's part lab, part whippet, and she had been abused. The vet had confirmed that. So she had aggression issues, and she was like a one-person dog or a one-family dog. And I was one of the people that Sandy liked right away. So when this lady got sick, she called me and she says, I need you to take the dog to a no-kill shelter. So I came, and nobody else could do it. And so I went over there and I got Sandy and took her to a no-kill shelter, and she wouldn't even go in the door. She just would not even go. And I talked to the guy, and he said because of her behavior, and this was the only one in the area, but he said because of her behavior, she probably would not be adoptable, and therefore I would have to sign a euthanasia waiver in order for them to take her. I couldn't do that. I just could not, in all good conscience, do that. So I figured life with me in a little school bus has got to be better than death. And while I was staying behind that property, working in the city, I had friends that could take care of her during the day while I was at work. So and it was a shaded area, so she did not get too hot in the bus. But being out here by myself, not only would working outside the house, if it's not someplace, and there's really no place close, but I would have to either leave her loose outside because I don't have a kennel or a yard to contain her, or leave her on the bus where I can't leave the generator and the AC going so she could, yeah, it would cook her in here. And she is my support. She's my security. She's a wonderful guard dog. She's loyal as anything. And when I first got out here and things were really bad, I would have eaten a bullet sandwich if it weren't for that dog. So I'm not going to leave her. And the friend that had her for off and on for a while I traveled, he is not able to keep her anymore since she only likes a few people. So it's tough, and I can't work out of the house. But this is my rescue dog, and she is my best friend, and I am loyal to her. So there's that part of it. That's my family right now. And also, I had to guard everything I own out here because I have no fence and I have no lockable storage. I've had to use regular camping tents just temporarily, and they've all been destroyed. And anyhow, I wanted to get a storage, like a shipping container, and put that on my property and use it for storage. And really, that's one of the first things I have to get. Anyhow, so in 2014, also while I was out here, my storage unit got broken into. And I lost thousands of dollars of stuff. And I've lost all my tech stuff. I've lost all my software. I've lost all my computer parts. All of that. What I didn't lose in the break-in, I lost in the floods. But so the storage unit was broken into. I had a newer Volkswagen Beetle, which I should have known better. But that thing was like an $8,000 lemon. And I had to sell it. And it broke down on the way to the damn place to sell it. It's just unbelievable. And then there's my beetle, my river rat. He started having electrical problems when I first moved out here. I actually had to drive around using a handheld spotlight as a headlight. It was pretty bad. And so it had electrical issues, and then it got flooded. And I know those things can be rebuilt, but I'm probably going to have to sell it for cash. I mean, the jungle, the woods is taking it over, just like it's taking over my bus and starting to grow on my bus. And for the first time, I'm getting insects in my bus. Never before have I ever gotten cockroaches or these ants. I'll show you a clip of the ant I took earlier, but these little black ants are getting into my bus now. See that ant? These are the guys that are getting into my bus. They're freaking the hell out of me because they're huge. And the last time I got bit by one of those, it was not fun. All my landscaping stuff, my loppers and all that was stolen. So I don't even have the tools to get the foliage off of growing on my bus, and that's how all the insects are getting into my bus now. So I started working at Renaissance festivals, and I started making products to sell there, and it helped a lot. It wasn't enough to be a full-time income, but I did end up going on the road, and I won't give that experience up for the world, I mean, it is kind of like running off and joining a carnival. It's a very amazing lifestyle with amazing people. It just really taught me a lot about life and being able to travel the country and work at fairs in different states. It was incredible, except that when I left, every time I came back, there's more missing and more damage done to my property and the road. The road needs work, but at least I can get in and out of my property. So my first year on the road, 2 different floods hit my property, and thank God I had some friends that came over when I was gone, And it was funny as my neighbors called because they were about to come out with their shotguns because they saw people on my property. I love being out in the country and knowing your neighbors and knowing that they'll watch out for you. Uh, Anyhow, so 2 floods, lost a lot. Then let's see. I did have a part-time job as a substitute teacher and tried working at the local gas station, and that was a hostile environment. Couldn't do that. So then there was 2017. And I'm going to switch over to other footage to show you that and show you the footage of the hurricane because that's the one I was actually here for. Now, Hurricane Harvey. Oh boy, this one was a whopper. You got to keep in mind that I don't have a place to put and secure anything. So anything that, out of all these floods, anything that was not in my school bus got washed away, basically. Or just completely underwater or washed away and destroyed. So I had no way of tying all my stuff down outside. And I had one other human, a friend of mine, who had nowhere else to go, and 2 dogs with me in this bus this time. So the things that I was able to save in the first 2 floods, because I had all my survival things with me, I was on the road. So I had a lot of more stuff stored, like all my books. I lost hundreds of books in Hurricane Harvey, including my grandfather and great-grandfather's books, except for one bin of Bibles. One little bin of my grandfather and great-grandfather's Bibles and books, because they were both ministers. And it was in a bin, in a very, very thick plastic bag, in the bottom of a tent that was under 5 feet of water, and it stayed dry. And I have those books. So I didn't lose all my books, but I lost a good 70% of my books in this storm, whereas I was able to store them in the bus for the first 2 floods. I lost a lot more in Harvey. Anyhow, so August 2017, it started off with that eclipse. And I remember as a little girl, when there was another eclipse here in Texas, you could see the progress of it in the shadows of leaves on trees. I thought that was really cool, so I took a picture of it. And boy, they say eclipses are bad omens. Well, okay, this was my driveway. All right, and see the little trench on the left-hand side? This was the before picture of my driveway. And this is a before picture of my backyard, that basically out the front of my bus. And you can see the doghouse, you can see the tent. That's the tent that had all my books in it that ended up under a ton of water. And the water got almost all the way to that board that I have shading the doghouse there, that table. That's what it was like the next morning. The storm hit throughout the night. And in the morning it was just raining, and it had lightened up and started to lighten up. So you see the tent back there, and then you see the doghouse and another storage tent, because it's all I could afford. And I couldn't even afford to keep my storage unit when I first moved out here. So I had to take all this expensive stuff from apartments and places that I've lived in the city and just dump them out in the woods and watch them get wiped away. So I had a nice outdoor kitchen area and all of that, because I had some Rennie friends living with me and helping me too. And washed away. And all the decking that one of my friends built is all rotted now. But that's my driveway the next morning. That was my driveway the next morning. And along the line where you see the water stops and the trees start there, this was moving like 3 times as fast as the current here. It was really amazing to see that for 2 days. That's my street right there. That's my culvert. Everything underwater. It's not coming up to the bus yet. I got another 1.5 feet. before it would get on the floor of the bus. That's my panic time. But yeah, everything's flooded. Can't see any dry land. There you can see the remains of the tent I was using to store all my books. That breaks my heart. Poor Niblet's tent is over there somewhere on that side of this lake. The water is moving pretty quick. That table was over my dog's dog house. Thank God we pulled them into the house. That's another tent I'm using for storage. Basically everything is under at least 2 feet of water. And you can't see that at all, but the bottom step of my school bus is halfway filled with water. So that's my gauge. August 27th, 2017. Hurricane Harvey flooding. Everything's flooded. There's no dry land. Water's moving pretty quick, too. Standing on my porch. It's a school bus. Water's about a foot under hitting the bus. Moving very fast. Everything's underwater. Everything's flooded. I get to go down that street later and pick up any of the bins. That water down that street's moving really fast. We have one more day of this rain. Hopefully the water will not get much higher than it is now, because we are dry right now. But as you can see, there's water running all around the bus and under the bus. This is some very fast moving water. And that river there is my driveway. Hurricane Harvey, 2017. Wow. The water has receded about a foot. Now I can actually see this. Oh boy. Got some work to do. This was all underwater down here. And I've lost a few bins, probably floated down the way there. That water's moving pretty fast still. But I'm very relieved. The beetle's still there, it didn't float away. I'm very relieved that the water's going down. That way when it keeps raining and it goes back up, it's not as likely to get inside the bus. Very odd, having moving water under my home. greenhouse nick belt. As you can see, inside, back in there. Poor Niblet's tent's down. Wow. Still have this platform here that's never got covered with water. So I'll probably move the generator out here in a little while, run it and charge up all the batteries while the window's open in the house. Still no land in sight. Beetle didn't flow it away. The water was up to the middle of that back tire. Oh, plant fell over. Pick that up. Oh boy. Okay, the water's receded enough I can step outside here. Some of this stuff's still here. Oh wow. Yeah, Sandy's doghouse was almost completely covered to the roof. So water's gone down probably about 2 feet. Thank goodness for that. My driveway and my road, that water's moving pretty damn fast. I can see one of my bins that's washed down the street there. And then here's, the water got all the way to above this step. And now it's back down, thank God. Beetle's still here. It didn't float away. The water got up to about the middle, a little higher than the middle of that tire. Greenhouse. Water got all the way over those pots down the ground. So definitely a big improvement. Some things will still survive. Let's see. I've already lost a whole hell of a lot. This is the third flood I've gone through on this land. Still have gasoline, generator. I'm going to move outside when we're ready to use it again. I wanted to keep it safe. All water. We're good to go. The road washed out a little bit worse than it was before. So once things are dry, it could be passable. But for now, nope. That's my neighbor's house over there. Before Harvey, I was able to get my water from their well, which I really liked. But Harvey took out their well, so that wasn't possible. So I lost so much stuff again being washed out into the woods, and I still haven't been able to clean it up because I can't afford to have the trash hauled off. I mean, it's just, I mean, I've got my shoes here in the road. See, here's some of my shoes. I've got a box of like, there's a bin, and here. The other thing is that there's poison oak, poison ivy, poison sumac, and it's swampy out here. So I've gotten 3 mosquito bites already just talking and walking now. And the heat is god awful. And besides that, if I get bit by one of the number of poisonous snakes out here, if I fall and hit my head, no one's going to be here to call the ambulance. That's my biggest thing, is that I don't want to do this stuff alone because it's dangerous. I mean, I do as much as I have to, but it's also just, it's very, very difficult to get motivated when I come out here and see all my precious belongings destroyed. I just want to cry, and that's not, doesn't make it very easy, especially since this is a 3rd damn flood that's hit my property. All right, so 2018, I got to go to Florida, and I got to go to Illinois and work some beautiful fairs, and I got to see Disney World. That was incredible. I know it's like the city of sin, but it was just so much fun because the whole Pandora exhibit, that was awesome. Anyhow, but once I came back, the times that I was here before the road got completely impassable again, I had PTSD every time it would rain. And I didn't even feel anything ahead, before that or during the hurricane. I didn't even feel any fear. It was weird. But it's like, then after that, it just hit. It took me about a year to be able to be calm during storms. Oh, fun stuff. So I had to stay with a friend for most of 2019, and that's when I worked on my Forbidden Fruit series. My solar panels were stolen, and the ones that weren't stolen, those bastards broke. They cracked the glass or they cut the ties on them. Thankfully, I have another friend of mine who fixed my road, finally. And he fixed my road right before I had to work another festival. So I didn't have much chance to clean up anything. So now it's 2020, and we all know the crap that's going on now. My side businesses are dead. My internet is due midnight tonight. Today's September 16th, 2020. My internet's due at midnight tonight. And then, gosh, I think I have about $15 left, and that's going to go to dog food. And I wish I could take her to the vet. She needs to go to the vet, but I can't afford it. I just can't afford it. And then the bus, you can see the blue thing on top of the school bus here. Okay, the sun hitting the roof of this bus gets so scalding hot. One of my exes that stayed with me for a little while built that little frame up there, and those tarps have been disintegrating. So the sun's starting to hit the roof of the bus again, and it gets Texas heat, man. It's pretty damn miserable. It is. It's bad. So I need tarps. I really wish I could get some kind of covering on that. But, again, can't afford it. And then my generator, I've got broken parts on that. I did a Caucasian modification. And I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm not good with engines. Okay? I can fix certain basic things on a car, but I am not a mechanic. And I am not good with engines. This part of the generator right here, it won't shut. It's bent. I gotta get that replaced. And my little Caucasian modification just messed up here. So I gotta get some better tape. And that's how I got to be stuck out here in the woods, legally homeless, even though I own my own home and I own my own property. I'm legally homeless because I have not been able to build any kind of infrastructure into the bus. Everything's off grid here. No running water. I haul in and out my water. I use the generator to charge 3 deep cycle 12-volt batteries, and that's how I've been living for years out here. I forget the name of that, but it's supposed to be a mosquito repellent. So now we're here in crazy 2020. Now that brings us back to today. Yeah, and then I gotta worry about this crap in my woods. The middle picture is the whole thing, and then the left and right photos
are zoomed in. But it's gone now. That was only there for, it was there for about 3-4 days. And it wasn't on my property, but it was close. It was close. And they're coconut heads and bones. It's just really creepy crap going on in my woods, man. I'm starting to get concerned. I am trying to get inspired, trying to do what I can. I've been making memes. I've been trying to join this information war for truth, and I've been making memes, but also making memes about history and all sorts of crazy stuff. I found this and put that out and made little, just all sorts of different memes. And I'm going to give you guys my Twitter at the end here, and you can see all these in my Twitter. This one, this one's one of my recent favorites because it goes from all the giant things and the giants to the giants with the hand, the hidden hand gesture. You can't see the page. It's page 233, and it's 322. They love to flip the numbers, and here's another hidden hand, the giants, and then you got the normal people with it. Not normal at all. And things like this. It's interesting. It's an interesting way to live. So that's about it, folks. My Twitter is DevilBunnyR, and you can email me at gmail.com or DM me on Twitter. Thank you much, and namaste, and y'all come back now, you hear? Bye.